In today's video, we're going to talk about how Louis Armstrong changed black history as a jazz musician. Jazz legend Louis Armstrong remains one of the greatest and most influential musicians of all time, a man who, through his music and singing, broke down many color barriers. Despite hatred and discrimination towards African Americans, Louis Armstrong's undeniable talent and unflappable mindset enabled him to break down barriers to his people's advancement, particularly within the arts. It was a difficult time for African American artists on the road. They couldn't stay in any of the white-only hotels, eat in many restaurants, or use public restrooms due to their skin color. Wherever they were supposed to perform, they had to use the back entrances, and they had to exit in the same way. Mr. Armstrong was the very first black musician to include a clause in his performance agreements stating that he would not perform in any hotel venues where he would not be allowed to stay overnight. Louis Armstrong began to perform concerts across the nation for black and white audiences during this period of the segregation era when the KKK had grown to 6 million members, or roughly 5.7% of all Americans. Louis Armstrong continued to win over the hearts and minds of a segregated America with his grace, confidence, and talent by performing with white musicians and proudly representing African Americans. Armstrong shared the stage with white jazz greats like Glenn Miller and Benny Goodman from the late 1940s to the early 1960s, touring extensively in Europe and Africa at the same time. Then he performed with pop stars of the time such as Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, and Frank Sinatra. Armstrong is regarded as a founding father of jazz in terms of his influence on American music. Armstrong, a man who grew up during the time and place where the style of swing was born, brought much of it to the forefront of popular culture. According to historian Robin D.G. Kelly, he ushered in modern jazz by bringing together a sense of blues, aesthetics, and musical virtuosity, as well as astounding intonation on his instrument. Not only did Armstrong change the perception of jazz as well as swing, but also of African Americans and their culture. Armstrong's music reflected black history and culture, and it became popular in white communities and clubs as well. Jazz as a whole helped advance society's views of using music as a universal language in which anyone of any ethnicity could participate, and the jazz revolution, led by Armstrong's stylings, directly symbolized the civil rights movement through lyrics, sounds, and artists. He was the only black jazz musician who publicly opposed school segregation in 1957. His protest reverberated across the world, prompting the State Department to call for the restoration of black American civil rights. He was so popular that warring parties in Central Africa's Democratic Republic of the Congo for a while stopped fighting in 1960 to go to Armstrong's concert. Armstrong went on to become a television and film personality, to tour the world repeatedly, to perform with white and black entertainers, and to record popular songs and jazz. He was the first musician of African American descent to announce radio shows. Mr. Armstrong was the very first black musician to receive featured billing alongside his fellow white performing artists in a Hollywood film, Pennies from Heaven, starring well-known singer Bing Crosby. The song Hello Dolly became Mr. Armstrong's biggest hit in 1964. This occurred during the height of Beatlemania, when the Beatles had 14 weeks of continuous #1 hit songs before being knocked off the very top of the charts by 62-year-old Louis Armstrong. Armstrong was also the first jazz musician who appeared on the cover of Time magazine, and he was chosen to be one of Time's top 100 most significant individuals of the 20th century. He became one of the first major celebrities of the 20th century, performing an average of 300 concerts annually and earning the moniker Ambassador Satch for his frequent travels to all corners of the globe. Only after his death was he recognized as a silent revolutionary. It was his life's work to fight segregation through his actions and never give in. Every day he fought through it. What a Wonderful World, his biggest hit in 1967, exemplifies how proud he was to be a part of it. Louis Armstrong made an enduring impact on the jazz world as well as the larger context of black history through his timeless music. The life of Louis Armstrong is more than just a study of the development of jazz. It is also a tale of triumph over adversity and a glimmer of hope for a more just society.